Good little bike ride. It's February 10th, 69 degrees out. Should be 75, 76 before I get back home. So I can't complain. We had a few days of cold weather. I've actually been sick for 2 days. It's like a shocker to me. I have the flu. It's the first time I've been sick in 10 years now. I eat pretty healthy despite being overweight, so I don't get sick. But I guess I'm not really as immortal as I thought. Had the flu for a couple days, just kind of been sitting around, not really doing much. But today it's too nice to be sitting around. Car back there was coughing. Still feel like I'm sick right now, but I'm not dying. Just kind of take it slow and see how I do for this ride. Just can't stand sitting around the house doing nothing all day. It's like I can feel myself dying. I have to get out and do something. Sun feels really good. Try to make it all the way to the beach today. We'll see. Which usually is no big deal, but being sick, we'll see how it goes. Not used to being sick. Back to level 2. Looks like I got a full battery. I didn't go to the doctor and I'm not taking any medicine for the flu, so just eating vegetable soup, homemade, eating some oranges. Relaxing, drinking water, of course. Probably shut off the AC and opened all the windows. Let the house air out while I'm gone. Maybe I'll do that when I get back home. See if they see me or not here. Nope, don't see me. Sorry. It smells like marijuana too. Thinking about bringing a lawn chair and a roll of toilet paper so I could sit on the beach and blow my nose for a couple hours in the sun, and then forgot totally about it before I took off. So I guess I'm not doing that. Bikes coming. Always fun to ride around in a group. Even though I am the solo rider, I'll ride around in a group once in a while. At least I used to. Done it lately. Russian coyotes in the area. First time I saw that sign here. Man, what a beautiful day. So glad I moved down here. If you're somewhere cold and you're thinking, oh, you want to move to Florida one day or somewhere else warm, just do it. Even if you're like me, where you had to, you know, sell 15 properties and empty out 2 garages and quit your jobs. I mean, it was a big process to move down here, but we did it. I don't have any regrets yet. I don't think I ever will. Kind of moved to 2 places at once. Had a lake house further north in Michigan than where I lived, where I moved some of my stuff, and then bought this house down here and moved some of my other stuff. But you know, in addition to saving for retirement for at least 15 years before we retired, you know, I had a bunch of, I had a couple apartment buildings, had some rental houses, had to figure out what I was going to do with all that stuff. So kind of got myself a plan going and bought some extra property up north. Had a big garage built so I could move a lot of my cars and motorcycles and stuff up there. I sold, well, first went to school to be a realtor, got my real estate license so I could sell all my personal and business real estate without paying a realtor. You know, we had so many properties that it was a good investment. I think I saved a couple $100,000 worth of real estate commissions with my real estate license. Me and my wife aren't old enough to, you know, for a regular retirement either. I was 45 at the time, she was 46. But we had already been kind of working out the plan where we could retire at any point. We were just, you know, not sure when the time would come where we would want to do that. Both had good jobs, making a lot of money. And when when you're investing your money that you're making for so long, it's hard to decide to not only stop investing, but also you're going to start withdrawing from it to live on. It's kind of scary, you know. It's kind of easier to just go to work every day and just do what you've been doing, you know. Anytime there's a change, you have to change something. Especially something drastic like going from working and investing to retired and spending money, or moving from one state to another, you know, stuff like that. You have to think about it more mathematically, logically, than what's easy to do or what you've always done or what everybody else does. And you can't really listen to what other people say, because nobody has your back. I think they do, but if you're gonna do something drastic like retire and move away, that's puts a huge dent in their ego too. If they can't do it, they don't want you to do it, because you're just a reminder of maybe their failures in life or what they could have done if they were braver, but they're not brave enough. So I don't know how I got on this subject, but hopefully it's helping this otherwise boring video seem a little more interesting. Pretty much everything I ever done to better myself, if you talk about it, other people, maybe they're jealous, or maybe they're just pessimistic. They're always telling you what can go wrong, you know? Always what can go wrong. Like, what if you invest in the stock market and it crashes, right? Or what if you get a tenant in your house that you're renting and they don't pay? Then you have to evict them, right? The stock market crashes, all your money's tied up until it rebounds, and it might not ever rebound, right? Well, you know, some of that stuff, it happens. And some of that stuff is almost guaranteed it's going to happen. Like, if you have enough rentals and you're a landlord long enough, eventually you're going to have to evict somebody. But tell you what, evicting somebody really sucks, but not so bad that I would never be a landlord again, you know, if that's the only thing you're worried about. If you have to work the rest of your life until you die and not retire just so you can avoid evicting somebody, that's dumb, man. I had to do an eviction before and it sucked, but it didn't prevent me from retiring at 45. me from re-renting that apartment either. Getting all my money back the very first day they moved in, you know, the new people. You know, with first month's and last month's rent and security deposit, and you know, all the money's right back in the bank. And most people just pay their rent on time every month and don't bother you, you know? You have some tenants that are just paying month after month after month, and you're seeing this building or this house getting paid off with someone else's money, and you're getting the tax advantages of you know, you write off the property taxes, you write off the interest on the loan, you write off depreciation on the property. Even though the property is appreciating, it's going up in value, you're depreciating it on paper. Someone else is paying you the payment, that's paying the interest, that's paying the loan, that's paying the taxes, that's paying the repairs, you know, all that's write-offs too. You don't feel like changing a hot water tank? You hire a plumbing company to come in and change the hot water tank, and then you claim it as a deduction on your taxes. You made money, the plumbing company made money, the plumber who installed the hot water tank made money, the manufacturer that made the hot water tank made money. I mean, everyone makes money. The government is making money off the taxes that the plumbing company is paying, and the plumber's paying, and the manufacturer and the seller and the retailer. That's how the world goes round. People that are paying are the ones that are renting, you know? People that are not good stewards of their money. Which it's really all of us at one point in our life, some of us for our whole lives, but you know, I rented an apartment before. I've had credit card debt before, I've had bad credit before, I had a car repoed before. I mean, I was a real jerk when I was early 20s. Started off strong, you know, moved out on my own at 17, got my first apartment, ended up getting a brand new Camaro. I was doing good, you know, but I had too much responsibility for my age, I guess. I started screwing up, you know. Someone told me I didn't have to pay the full amount on my credit card, and I'm not going to go to jail or nothing bad will happen, you know. And then I got married young and divorced too. And once I got a divorce, I wasn't paying anything that I had payments on because my child support was so high I couldn't, you know. So my early 20s I got myself into a bunch of debt, and then my 30s got myself out of debt and good credit. By the time my 40s rolled around, I was a real estate investor. You know, I'd already had a paid off house, had my second house, had my life together, I guess. Had a 401k. And of course had cars and motorcycles and, you know, toys, anything I wanted basically. So you can do it too. Just have to decide what you want. Write on paper how you're going to get it. Make a plan how you're going to get it. Put it on paper, not on a spreadsheet, not a mental note. Get a pad of paper with a pencil or pen and write down what you want to do. And then everything that comes up that is a roadblock, figure out how you're going to solve it, right? If you say, I want to move to Florida, but I have 5 cars and it's too expensive to move 5 cars that far. Well, you shouldn't just say, okay, I can't move to Florida because I have 5 cars. You got to figure out, are those cars really that important? Do you want to keep them? Figure out how to move them. If they're not that important, figure out how to get rid of them. Sell them. The reason I turned around, I thought I saw an alligator laying in the water out there. No, I don't really see it. See, just beyond the bird there. It's probably like seaweed or something. I don't know if it's showing up on the video. Just beyond that bird, there's something in the water there. It's kind of like an alligator shape, but it's probably just seaweed or something. Slime, sorry. First apartment building I bought, you know, it's rare to see stuff like that listed. Saw it listed. Me and my wife had been talking about it for a while, but of course you can't afford to just buy an apartment building. They're expensive, you know, it's really expensive. And you know, her initial thought was, we can't afford it. And then my thought was, well, how could we afford it? What would we have to do to afford it? How could we buy it? So I did some math. You know, I knew I'd need 20% down, which we didn't have. But I knew we could get some 401k loans, but then I didn't want to have that money taken out of our checks every month, because that would interrupt our other investments and what we were doing. So I didn't want that money coming out of our checks every month for the 401k loans unless I knew that we were going to make enough to reimburse us for that, so we could continue our plan, I was trying to find a way, I guess, to get the apartment building basically for free, 0 down. And no one's going to give you one for 0 down, but if you could mathematically make it feel like it's 0 down, which is what we did, it would work. So for an example, I think the first one we bought was $450,000. We needed 20% of that. And riding a bike, I don't even know how much that was. Let's just say $100,000 to make it easy. Maybe we had to get what would it be? $112,500, something like that, for 20% down. So we had to also know what all the rents were. It was fully rented. It was an 8-unit building at the time. I know it sounds cheap now, right? $450 for 8-unit, but it was 8-unit building. And found out all about the building, all the expenses, all the taxes, the interest, how much people were paying rent, what kind of repairs we were going to need. Put it all on paper. How much it's going to cost every month, how much is it going to make every month. Just did the math, and it turned out we could each get 401k loans for whatever we needed, like 70 grand each, and whatever the payments were going to be, we were going to be able to get that money back from the rents. So long as those 8 units were rented, we're getting all the money to cover all the expenses plus our 401k loans. So you're okay. So of course, once all the math was done on paper, we said, let's do it. You know, it was scary. It was most money we've ever spent in our lives up to that point. You know, the house we were living in was we only paid 80 grand for that, so that was, or 80 something thousand for that. So 450 was like a huge, it was like millions of dollars for us at the time, but we believed in ourselves, we trusted each other, and we had a plan, and on paper, it was good. So we did it. And you know, everybody could say, oh, what if somebody moved out? What if they all moved out? What if the place burned down? What if you find mold after, you know, someone moves out and the whole place is moldy and it's condemned? And what if somebody's shot there or murdered there? Or what? Who knows what could happen, right? It's a lot of liability. But a lot of risk. Up. But a lot of your worries are unfounded, you know. You know, sometimes there is. Sometimes you think there's a lot of risk when there really isn't, too. Like if you think, oh yeah, it could burn down, well, what's really the probability of that happening? What's the probability of 8 tenants moving out at once because they don't like you being the new owner? 8 families breaking their lease and moving out and losing their security deposits because they don't like you as a person, right? What's the chance of that? What's the chance of an airplane crashing on the building, you know? Come on, just take the risk, guys. stock market, you got a lot of horror stories in the stock market. Yeah, I bought Bitcoin at 100 grand, now it's worth 70 grand, and I lost all this money. Well, that happens, but if you didn't sell your Bitcoin, you still have the same amount of coins, and if it goes back up, you didn't lose any money. You don't lose money when the stock market crashes unless you sell your stocks. You still own them, you still own them. But when it goes back up, like it always does, or like it always has in the past, you didn't lose anything. You lose your money in the stock market when you sell, you know, when you sell it lower than what you paid for it. They say past performance doesn't guarantee perfect or future performance. Well, that's true, and I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take my advice. Always do your own research, but the S&P 500 has gone up an average of 11% over the last 100 years. What are the chances that put all your money in there and it goes to zero within the first year? What's the chances of that? Matter of fact, what's the chance that it's even cut in half? I'm not sure that ever happened before, that it was cut completely in half. Maybe once or twice in all of the history of it. But even if that does happen, the people that didn't sell their stocks, they hung on to them when it did recover. Made all that money back plus more, you know. Now you can have businesses go completely under. I had that happen. Look at that ocean, what a beautiful day, huh? Had a nice walk. I didn't fall over or die, so that's a good thing, right? See if I can make it all the way back home. Like I'm going to be blessed with a green light if someone doesn't run me over here. That was cutting it a little close. I don't know why I'm in such a hurry. I shouldn't be in a hurry. Not on my way to work. When I'm moving, I just like to stay moving. I don't like standing around, you know. grass has been up here a couple of weeks. What a nice breeze up here. Pretty warm breeze today too, so that's good. Nice views. to take a break, blow my nose. Looks like a nice spot. There, guys, had a nice quick break. Blew my nose, took a drink of water. Ready to go again. Still having flu-like symptoms from having the flu yesterday. So getting kind of tired, sore. Whole body's just kind of achy. You know, my sinuses are so bad that my teeth even hurt, you know. I don't know if you ever had some kind of sinus infection like that before where your teeth actually hurt too. Blew my nose so many times. Must have blew through like a couple of rolls of toilet paper already. It sucks, but I feel so blessed that, you know, at one time in my life, I got the flu every year. And not anymore. This is the first time in 10 years, so I figure I skipped at least 9 times, so I was about due, huh? Even though it felt bad, I didn't have to, not yet, go to doctors or hospital or take any medicine or nothing, you know. Did take some NyQuil at night before going to bed. Seemed to help. I have a Fitbit watch that monitors my sleep, and the NyQuil I got a fair rating for my sleep versus the night before where I didn't take NyQuil. I felt sick. It was poor. It was rated poor, the quality of my sleep. And just the day before was good, you know. It's been good, but hopefully it'll be good again in a couple days here. Because that's my only job right now, is to stay healthy. Stay healthy and don't get run over by a car or eaten by an alligator or a shark. And that'll allow me to do all my other jobs, like being a dad and a grandpa and a brother and a son and a husband. If I don't do that number one job of staying healthy, I can't do any of them other jobs. So, think of it that way. Which is really the same as all of you. Whether you have to go to work or not, your number one job is to stay healthy so that you can do all them other jobs. Take care of all your other responsibilities. If you're laying in bed disabled or sick, you can't do nothing, you know. So that should be number one, stay healthy. What do you guys think? I guess I'll wait. I hate waiting, but I'll wait. No need to risk it. Alright, green light. Funny how after you retire, you revert back to all the things you used to do when you were a little kid before you started working, you know. Used to love to go outside and play and, you know, ride my bike. Ride a motorcycle or a dirt bike or a Honda Trail. Until I got my driver's license for a car, then I just pretty much quit riding for a while. Now that I'm retired, I can revert right back to riding bikes, riding motorcycles, dirt bikes, on the trail. Can go back to being a little kid. Working on getting my body back into that shape as it was as a little kid, you know. Maybe I'll be able to go to the park and do the monkey bars one day. progress on that roof. It was, I think they were just doing plywood when I came by earlier. It's hard to go by these guys without getting stuff in your face. My nose is so dry and runny at the same time. Sucks. Hopefully wherever you guys are, you're not getting sick. I'm glad that it wasn't that bad for me, or isn't that bad for me. No, I'm complaining like a baby. I'm alright.